There are moments in history when the battlefield was not just a place of war, but a crucible of character, where bullets were fewer than orders and silence was more dangerous than gunfire. This story comes from one such place, the winter of 1942, somewhere on the Eastern Front, buried under a skin of snow and silence. The camp was called Outpost Meridian, though few soldiers called it that anymore. Among the men, it had another name, the Frozen Grave. It was where broken battalions were sent to redeem themselves, and where weak men were often left behind. The days began before dawn, when the frost still clung to the tents, and the breath of 100 soldiers rose like ghosts into the gray air. Orders barked, boots marched, rifles clicked, all under the rule of one man, Sergeant Carl Brenner. Brenner was a veteran, sharp-featured, built like an iron post, with eyes that saw weakness the way a wolf sees a limp. He prided himself on discipline, on fear, on control. To him, every man was either steel or scrap. He'd served in Africa, in the mud, in the heat, and in the blood, and he'd learned one thing: kindness doesn't win wars. And so, when a new recruit arrived at Meridian that winter, he saw not a soldier, but a test. His name was Private Liam Arden. Barely 21, thin, quiet, with the look of someone who had already seen too much for his years. He came from the coast, a shipbuilder's son who'd volunteered when his brother didn't return from Dunkirk. On the first morning, Brenner watched him during drills. The others stumbled through the icy wind, coughing and shivering, but Liam moved with a calm rhythm, efficient, deliberate. His hands didn't shake when he cleaned his rifle. His boots were always tied, his uniform never wrinkled. There was something in that quietness that Brenner didn't like. It wasn't arrogance, it was control. And men like Brenner, who built their power on fear, could smell control the way smoke smells fire. By the third day, he'd made Liam his target. Inspections grew longer, orders grew sharper. When the others rested, Liam carried sandbags. When the others ate, Liam scrubbed floors. And yet, not once did he complain. He simply obeyed, wordlessly, perfectly. It infuriated Brenner. He wanted to break him, not because he had failed, but because he hadn't. One evening, as snowflakes drifted like ash through the camp, Brenner called roll call outside the mess tent. The men lined up, their faces red from the cold, rifles slung, boots sinking into the frost. Brenner paced before them like a judge before a firing line. "Men," he barked, "war doesn't forgive weakness. You either harden or you die." He stopped in front of Liam. "Private Arden, step forward." Liam did, silent, eyes level. Brenner looked him up and down. "You think you're something special, don't you?" "No, sir," Liam said. His voice was steady, respectful, but not submissive. Brenner's lips curled. "We'll see." He threw his glove into the snow and snapped his fingers. "Dig a trench, right here, 6 feet deep, no help." The men glanced at one another. A trench? In the middle of the parade ground? The frost was like stone. But Liam simply nodded, took a shovel, and began. Hour after hour passed. The snow hardened into ice, the wind cut through his coat, and Brenner watched. He wanted to see defiance, anger, something human. But Liam gave him nothing. Only breath, only focus. By midnight, he was still digging, his hands raw, his face pale, steam rising from his body. The trench was nearly done. Brenner finally called out, "That's enough, soldier. Fill it." Liam stopped, looked up, then, without a word, began filling it again. The men watching, exhausted, trembling, saw something shift that night. The sergeant, the man who ruled by fear, had failed to make this recruit yield. And though no one dared to speak, every soldier felt it, a crack forming in Brenner's command. The next morning, Brenner's rage was barely contained. He stormed through the barracks like a man possessed. Every noise annoyed him, every hesitation was punished. But no matter what he did, Liam remained unbroken. At lunch, Brenner cornered Corporal Hayes, one of the older soldiers, and growled, "That boy's got no fear, no hesitation. I want to see what he's hiding." That evening, during inspection, Brenner made his move. He ordered Liam to demonstrate bayonet drills. "Show us what you've got, Private. Let's see if that fancy calm can kill a man." Liam obeyed, stepping into position, gripping his rifle tight. Brenner watched, smirking. "Good. Now, your opponent will be me." The men froze. No one sparred with the sergeant, not unless they wanted a broken rib. Liam hesitated for the first time. "Sir?" "You heard me." Brenner stepped forward, snatching a training rifle from another soldier. "Defend yourself, Private. That's an order." The match began. At first, Liam barely moved, cautious, defensive. Brenner lunged, jabbing hard, striking his shoulder, his side, his chest. The wooden bayonet cracked against his coat, again and again. The men watched in silence as Brenner barked, "Come on, hit me back, or are you too scared to fight?" Liam finally parried one blow, smooth, precise. Then another, but he didn't strike back. Brenner laughed. "You call that defense?" He swung hard, too hard. Liam dodged, barely, the rifle butt grazing his jaw. "Pathetic," he hissed. He grabbed Liam's collar, yanked him close, and whispered, "You'll learn what fear is before I'm done with you." The men looked away. None dared intervene. But in that moment, though Brenner didn't yet see it, the balance of power had already shifted. For fear cannot rule a man who has already lost everything. And before the winter ended, Sergeant Brenner would learn that lesson the hard way. 3 days later, dawn came pale and cruel. The snow had hardened overnight, turning the camp into a field of glass. The men assembled for drill, shoulders hunched, rifles tight against the cold. No one spoke. Not even the wind dared to cut through that silence. Sergeant Brenner stood before them, gloved hands clasped behind his back, jaw locked. His eyes were fixed not on the line of soldiers, but on one man, Private Liam Arden. "Front and center," he ordered. Liam stepped forward, boots crunching through frost. The rest of the battalion watched with a strange mix of fear and curiosity. Something was coming. Everyone could feel it. Brenner began pacing. "This unit," he said, voice echoing across the courtyard, "has forgotten what obedience means, forgotten what fear means. So today, we remind them." He turned sharply. "Private Arden, you disobeyed a direct order yesterday." Liam frowned slightly. "Sir, I completed—" "Silence!" Brenner barked, stepping closer. "When I say fill the trench, you stop when I say, not when you think it's done. Understood?" "Yes, sir," Liam said calmly. That calmness, that stillness, it made Brenner's blood boil. He wanted to see fear, hesitation, something human. But Liam stood there like a statue. Brenner's voice rose. "Drop for 50 push-ups, now!" Liam dropped to the ground, palms pressing into snow, breath fogging the air. He began counting softly under his breath. 1, 2, 3. The sergeant circled him like a predator around its prey. At 25, Brenner kicked snow into Liam's face. "Faster, soldier!" His pace didn't change. He finished at 50, stood up, saluted. "Permission to speak, sir?" "No." "Understood, sir." A faint smile appeared at the corner of Liam's mouth. Not mockery, not defiance, just something unshakable. And that tiny flicker of composure, that invisible wall of control, shattered Brenner's temper. He exploded. "Drop your rifle," he ordered. Liam obeyed. "Now pick it up again. Shoulder arms." Liam did. Brenner stepped right up to him, nose to nose. The cold between them seemed to vanish in the heat of fury. "You think you're better than me, don't you?" "No, sir." "Don't lie to me, boy." Brenner's shout cracked like a gunshot. "You think your silence makes you stronger, but silence isn't strength, it's cowardice." The entire company froze. No one dared to move. Even the crows on the watchtower took flight at the sound. And then Brenner did something unthinkable. He grabbed Liam by the collar and shoved him backward, hard. The young soldier stumbled, boots slipping on ice. His rifle clattered to the ground. That sound, that single clack, broke the last thread holding him still. He looked up. The calmness in his eyes was gone. What replaced it was something sharper, colder, and infinitely more dangerous. Brenner sneered. "Go ahead, boy, pick it up. Show me your strength." Liam bent down slowly, fingers brushing the rifle grip. For a moment, it seemed he would obey again. But then, in one fluid, lightning-fast motion, he stood, turned, and slammed the rifle butt into Brenner's wrist, disarming him in an instant. His sidearm flew into the snow. The next second, the entire camp went dead silent. Liam's voice came low, controlled, deadly calm. "Respect isn't earned through fear, sir." Brenner froze, pain and shock flooding his face. His wrist throbbed, his pride shattered. The soldiers looked on, stunned. No one dared to breathe. For a full 5 seconds, nothing moved, not even the wind. Then Brenner stumbled back, clutching his hand, face pale with disbelief. He had been broken, not by rebellion, but by precision, not by rage, but by restraint. Liam didn't advance. He simply lowered his rifle, stood at attention, and saluted. "Permission to return to formation, sir." It was over. The man who ruled by fear had been silenced, not by force, but by calm defiance. And that silence, that heavy, echoing silence, spread through every man present like a shockwave. The balance of power at Outpost Meridian had changed forever. For a long moment, no one dared to speak. The snow fell softly now, flakes glinting in the pale morning light, but the air felt thick, heavy with the weight of something irreversible. The men of C Company stood frozen, eyes darting between their sergeant and the quiet soldier who had just undone him. Brenner's hand trembled. He was breathing hard, not from pain, but from humiliation. He had commanded battalions, drilled recruits until they broke, and watched men crumble under his voice. But now his authority had been ripped away, not by mutiny, not by violence, but by discipline itself. He took a step toward Liam, his face pale with fury. "You're finished," he hissed, voice trembling. "You'll be court-martialed for this." Liam didn't flinch. His gaze stayed steady, his voice low. "With respect, sir, I only defended my uniform." It wasn't defiance, it was truth, spoken cleanly, without fear. Behind him, Corporal Hayes, One of Brenner's most loyal subordinates shifted uneasily. He had seen the shove. He had seen the weapon drawn. And deep down, every man in that formation knew the truth too. They had watched a man abuse his power and watched another stand tall, without rage, without cowardice. Captain Aldridge, the base commander, had stepped out from his office after hearing the commotion. He walked briskly across the field, coat flapping in the wind. His expression was unreadable. "What happened here?" he demanded. No one answered. Brenner stood stiff, lips pressed tight. Liam remained at attention. "Sergeant Brenner," the captain said, "explain yourself." Brenner swallowed hard. "Routine drill correction, sir. The private—" "Correction?" A sharp voice cut through the air. It wasn't the captain. It was Corporal Hayes. His voice quivered, but he stepped forward anyway. "Sir, the sergeant struck the private first. The recruit acted in defense." The silence deepened. Brenner turned on him with fire in his eyes. "Watch your mouth, Hayes." But it was too late. Captain Aldridge's stare hardened. "Is this true?" Another voice joined in. Then another. "Yes, sir. I saw it, sir. It wasn't the private's fault." The entire formation spoke, quietly but clearly. The men who had been broken by fear for months finally found their voices. Aldridge looked between them all, then back at Brenner. "Sergeant, you're relieved of duty until further notice." The words hit like a hammer. Brenner's shoulders sagged. His pride, his identity, shattered in front of the very men he once ruled over. The captain turned to Liam. "Private Arden, you've got more control in one breath than some men have in a lifetime. Report to my office in 1 hour." Then, addressing the entire battalion, he said quietly, "Let this be remembered. Discipline isn't obedience to a man. It's obedience to principle." The soldiers saluted. The wind stirred the flags. The sound of boots striking the ground as they dispersed felt like thunder rolling over snow. Later that day, inside the commander's office, the atmosphere was warm but heavy. The wood stove hissed softly. Captain Aldridge stood by the window, hands behind his back, watching snow fall over the barracks. Liam entered and saluted. "Private Arden reporting, sir." The captain turned. "You kept your composure when you had every right to lose it. That's rare. Too rare." Liam stayed silent. He didn't wear pride, only quiet respect. Aldridge sighed. "Brenner's record was strong, but somewhere along the line, power replaced duty. Men like him think shouting builds strength. It only builds silence, the wrong kind." He paused, studying Liam's calm face. "You didn't raise your weapon in anger. You acted with control. Do you know what that means, soldier?" Liam's answer was simple. "That fear only wins when you let it, sir." The captain nodded slowly. "And that's why they'll follow you someday." He reached into his desk, pulled out a small silver insignia, the mark of squad leader, and set it down on the table. "Effective immediately. You've earned this." Liam didn't smile. He only nodded, eyes lowered. "Thank you, sir, but I didn't do it for rank." "I know. That's why you deserve it." The camp's whisper. By nightfall, the story had already spread through every barracks and every tent. The tale of a recruit who silenced a sergeant had grown into something larger. Not gossip, but a quiet kind of respect. Men who once trembled under Brenner's shadow now walked with straighter backs. The mess hall, once filled with the sergeant's barked orders, was filled instead with quiet conversations about justice, about control, about dignity. Some called it the morning the silence changed sides. Brenner, confined to quarters, could hear it too. The echo of that moment haunted him. The way the young soldier had moved, the precision, the unshakable calm. For the first time in years, he saw himself clearly. A man who had confused control with cruelty. And deep down, even he knew. He'd been taught a lesson no manual ever could. Years passed, and the snow at Outpost Meridian melted into memory. The war moved on, the battalion shifted, the fronts changed, and soldiers returned home, carrying ghosts and stories in equal measure. Most men forgot the small victories, the minor humiliations, the fleeting moments of courage that didn't make the history books. But some memories refused to fade. Some moments, like an indelible mark in the snow, remain visible long after the frost has gone. Among the veterans of Meridian, one name endured. Not that of Sergeant Brenner, not of the officers who came and went, but Private Liam Arden. He never sought fame, he never demanded recognition. No medals, no ceremonies, no headlines in the military gazettes. His legend spread quietly, whispered in barracks, recounted in mess halls, and passed down from one group of recruits to the next. They say a man broke the fear that ruled our camp, not with anger, not with shouting, but with calm and principle. By the end of the decade, his story had grown into an unofficial parable. Drill instructors used it to teach new recruits about courage, integrity, and judgment. Officers used it to remind themselves that authority is a responsibility, not a weapon. And soldiers, the men who had faced him in the field, never forgot the day a single recruit silenced a battalion without firing a shot. Even decades later, when Liam was an older man, veterans sought him out. They wanted to see the man who had refused to break under power, who had reminded them that discipline and conscience could coexist. They asked him how he had endured Sergeant Brenner's relentless attempts to intimidate, humiliate, and dominate him, how he had kept his focus, his composure, his integrity. His answer was simple, quiet, and devastatingly true. Obedience ends where injustice begins. Those words became a mantra for soldiers in barracks, a whispered lesson in classrooms, a guiding principle for leaders. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the presence of conscience. And in that truth, generations found strength that no weapon could provide. Even Sergeant Brenner, long retired and a shadow of the man he once was, would occasionally hear the stories. He would remember the crack of the rifle hitting his wrist, the silence that followed, the steady gaze of a young recruit who had more control in one moment than he had in a lifetime. Some say he never forgave himself, not for the pain, not for the humiliation, but for the truth that had been revealed, that authority without integrity is hollow, and that fear cannot build loyalty. Liam Arden's legacy was subtle, yet profound. It wasn't in monuments or medals. It was in the way men carried themselves in formation, in the way officers measured justice alongside discipline, in the quiet reflection of anyone who realized that morality could and should override obedience when the two collide. And though he passed without fanfare, the story lived on, a guiding light, a moral compass for all who faced power they could not control, and a reminder that even the smallest, quietest individual can shift the course of history with one act of unwavering conscience. In the annals of military lore, among stories of battles won with blood and fire, There exists one story of victory achieved through restraint. One story where courage was measured not in gunfire, but in resolve. One story where a young soldier taught a whole battalion that principle outweighs fear. And when Liam Arden was asked years later what gave him the strength to defy his superior, he gave the same answer he had given decades before. Obedience ends where injustice begins. That line echoed through time, a simple yet profound truth, and it continues to inspire those who believe that real power lies not in domination, but in conscience.